And I just had to let go. I had to sit down. I really prayed and thought it through and thought, what am I doing really? And is it really the most productive thing to be doing? And even, when I would, with my questions regarding my faith, it's like, well, am I really being the most productive, or am I really meant to do something different? And I'm just kind of chasing everything else and missing it, So I changed my whole perspective, and I just decided I needed to focus my energy, all my free time that I was having, which wasn't a lot, but every little bit of free time I could find, I was going to use that to learn how to be, the musician I wanted to be.
Welcome to the Female Entrepreneur Musician Podcast with Bree Noble. Bree is a musician, entrepreneur, speaker, and founder of Women of Substance Music Radio and Podcast. Bree's interviews with successful female musicians and industry pros are both inspirational and informational. She also answers your questions about the music business. Bree is on a mission to help you create great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business, and to truly become a female entrepreneur musician.
Hey, what's going on? I want to thank you for tuning into the Female Entrepreneur Musician Podcast, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. My name is Bree Noble, and I am pretty darn excited about the interview that I'm doing today. It is with my friend and student and accomplished musician, singer, songwriter, and lots of other things I didn't know about until I interviewed her, Kim Krenik. I know you're really going to enjoy this interview, and the reason that I'm doing it right now at this time of the year is because in the interview, she talks about a friend of mine that she took a course from, Michelle Lockie, and she learned all about music licensing and how to write music for film and TV, and now for Kim, this is her major focus. And so I thought this would be a great time to share this interview with you because I am about to do a live workshop with Michelle Lockie in a few days. It's happening on September 14th, Thursday of this week, and there's a couple times available. So if you have ever thought about learning about music licensing, if people have ever said to you, oh my gosh, your songs, they just belong on TV or they belong in a film, or I can imagine them along with this scene, or you've maybe watched a show and thought, oh, my songs would be perfect for this show. Or you just really want to explore some other avenues of income as a musician other than just performing. This workshop will really give you an idea of what music licensing is all about from somebody who does it and has done it for several years and been successful. So if you want to join us, just go to femmusician.com/music licensing. That's F as in female, E as in entrepreneur, musician.com/music licensing. And you can sign up to get your notifications as to when the workshop will be, and you can choose your time. And I'll be excited to see you there. I'll be manning the chat, hanging out with everybody as we're all learning from Michelle. And every time she does a workshop, I learn something new. So encourage you to go over to femmusician.com/music licensing and sign up. And now let's hear from Kim Krenik all about her journey, her experience, and her journey into music licensing. Here is some info about Kim Krenik. Kim Krenik is an inspirational pop singer-songwriter and author from the San Francisco Bay Area. She has recently formed an indie rock duo with Jackson Jackson from the Portland area called Last August. Her focus these days is writing music for film, TV, and ads, and writing books while raising her 4 children. Wow, she's got a lot going on, and you are going to love to hear what she has to say on today's interview. All right, so that is a little bit about Kim Krenik. So Kim, is there anything about you that's maybe a little bit unique, quirky, something that's not in your bio that you want to tell our listeners?
Well, let's see. My hair doesn't always look like it does in the picture there. They're going to show people. I can tell you that. I actually got a hair stylist to do that. And I wish I could like just have her live with me.
I have that same problem every time. So once every 3 months I go and I get my hair highlighted and cut and all this awesome stuff that's really expensive. But my hairstylist can blow my hair out so it's completely straight. And I can't do it ever. So every once in a while, like every 3 months, you'll see me pop up on video with totally different hair. And then people start saying, oh my gosh, I love your hair. And I'm like, don't get used to it. I can't make it look like this.
No, it costs a lot of money to make it look like that.
It really does. It really does. And I saw something on your bio about how you like dirty leprechauns. Can you explain that?
Oh gosh, the mystery of that. I almost want to just leave it and let you imagine.
Sounds a little creepy. I don't know.
I know. Maybe that's what I was going for that day because I was in one of my moods, you know? Uh-huh. No, actually, dirty leprechauns are a drink that they make at the local coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're so yummy. They're like, mint, like they're green and they have green whipped cream and it's our local coffee shop. I can plug it really quick. If you ever come to my town in Tracy, you're going to be able to taste. You got to go to Baristas if you love coffee because they do make the best coffee around. It's really good. I'm a coffee snob, so.
Oh, me too. Okay, so if I'm ever driving from Modesto, which I don't anymore because my mom doesn't actually live there, but if I'm driving from Modesto to the Bay Area, I'll be sure and stop at Baristas that has the dirty leprechauns. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and come to the Main Street Music Store right there and say hi to me. You probably need something anyway, so.
Right, I'll have to go, be your coffee delivery.
Yes, that sounds good. I usually just walk down and get my coffee there during a break. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I may as well get this out of the way that Kim and I have actually met in person, which is very rare with people that I interview here. We lived close enough to each other. I grew up in Modesto, which is probably about 30 minutes away from where she lives. And I sung at her church a couple of times. And so it's been awesome to then get to re-know her online. And it's fun to actually talk to somebody that I've actually seen in person, which is, again, it's so rare in these days of online interviewing and meeting people and students and all that stuff that I only meet virtually. It's fun to actually meet people in person. It's
so true. So true. What a funny world we live in.
I know.
You're real. Flesh and blood.
Right. Well, how did you get started in music?
I was just kind of born into loving music as a kid. I don't have a memory in my head that doesn't include it somewhere. People tell me when I was a baby, I was singing, in The Sound of Music, I was singing along, one of those kind of kids. So I've just loved it all these years. But I think when I really started to allow myself to, pursue it was when I was about 13 and I started going to church. The church was really encouraging to, they recognized that I had a talent at singing and my friend at the time who was my best friend, as a kid, she sang, her family sang, and they taught me how to sing harmony. Everybody sang harmony in their family. So it was so much fun because, we just sang together all the time and found this really neat, that kindred spirit when you find another person who loves music and you can sing together, make music together. There's just a really special thing that happens. And that started when I was about 13. And then I just never went backwards from that. I just couldn't stop after that.
That's awesome. So did you grow up in Tracy area?
I grew up over in the Bay Area. So, in different towns over. You did too?
I did. What towns did you grow up in?
I was Danville was my first town. And then Clayton over there. I feel like I've been around the mountain, the Mount
You're
Diablo.
An East Bay, Mount Diablo person. See, I was a Peninsula girl.
Okay. Oh, I love it over there too. Yes. I worked in Millbrae. Where did you grow up at?
Redwood City.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I lived there until 8th grade. So
awesome. Yeah, my niece is a CHP officer right now in Redwood City.
Wow.
Yeah. So watch out.
That's awesome. I had no idea you were a Bay Area girl. There's something about Bay Area people. I think we just had a certain way of growing up. My husband and I both grew up there, and it's just, I don't know, we just had the same experience growing up, which is cool.
It's true. Yeah. It's funny how it's like that in areas.
So when did you get into songwriting?
That happened too at 13. It all kind of happened
Wow.
at the same time. That's when I wrote my first song. I wrote it about my friend. She was moving away, and yeah, she was moving to a different state. And I felt like I don't know, it just came out. Just one day I was just writing, how as songwriters, we just, all of our feelings come out, when we sit down at the instrument or just start singing or whatever. And so I was sitting at my piano and I really didn't know how to play the piano. I had just gotten it, but I just found noises I like to make and I turned it into a song, and before I knew it, I had a full song there. It wasn't very good, I'm sure. If you look back at it, I wouldn't play it for anyone now, but it was good for her at the time. It was all about her leaving and me sharing, how much she meant to me. So
that's all. That's great. I mean, I think my first song was 3 chords, over and over and over again.
Yes,
but
exactly.
you get your feet wet and you go, this is kind of cool. Like I can create something that wasn't here before.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So I didn't know that you had an acting career until I read your bio. Well, tell me how that started. And it sounds like you worked at Disney and you worked on Lois and Clark.
Yeah. I really kind of, while I was soul searching, trying to figure out who I was, in my early 20s, I was trying, I really didn't allow myself to write songs or consider that I was writing them. I just didn't consider it for a career. I felt like everybody I knew, I mean, if you're from the Bay Area, then you know that it's, especially at the time in the 90s, this was in the 90s, everybody was Silicon Valley, it was like everything. And so you need a business career. You have to have a plan that includes a business plan, and doing music is not realistic. It's like a dream. So don't think about that as your real plan, And so I just couldn't figure out who I was because I tried the business thing and it just didn't work for me at all. It just was not my bend, And so, so I found myself exploring acting. I think, I did some plays and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was taking all of my, when I was in, community college, my classes were all like, I did all the lower division acting classes. I even made it into the Boston Conservatory. Wow. But I didn't go because I was dating a guy who wasn't really the best fit for me and he was distracting me. So from life in general. And it wasn't a good fit. And I knew that if I went there, it was going to be more about my heart kind of getting pulled and not really about who I was. So I was soul searching. And so I chose instead to move down to Los Angeles. My aunt at the time was in the film industry, and she had a place that she needed someone to kind of look after her cats. She was in Mexico a lot, and she was, had also had a full career like doing like producing for visual effects. So she worked on Batman Forever and some films like that. And so she didn't really hook me up, as an actress because that's not really something she could have done. She tried to get me in touch with some behind the scenes people, but they met with me and they were really kind, but were just saying, it sounds like you really want to be an actress. And if you do this, you're going to go kind of in a different direction. So, so I pursued acting and I actually enjoyed living there for the short time I stayed there. And it was great. I got some jobs, but it was also like you either, eat or you don't eat kind of thing. And it definitely wasn't stable. And I guess I figured out that I wasn't committed enough to that dream, like I didn't want to stick with it, like the long haul. And, I kept meeting all these other actors and they just would talk about their stories. And the ones who were successful, clearly they were able to pull through the hardest times and stay with it. And I couldn't see that. Like all I saw was myself getting more grumpy living in LA with the traffic. And I kept dreaming of kids, and going, I can't imagine raising kids here. And, all these things. So I just kind of figured out that I didn't want to do that. But then I started writing songs, like pouring myself into music more because I was there. And I was like, wow, why am I doing this? I feel like I should be writing songs, So it was kind of interesting. It was eye-opening to be down there. And
now, what year was this? I'm just curious.
that was like 94, 95.
Okay, because we could have totally, well, I lived in Orange County, but we could totally have met. I mean, I moved down there in 94.
Wow.
And, I was doing the same thing, like wanting to do music, but having no clue how to do it.
Oh, did
writing
you act
music. I did not act. No, I would be a terrible actress, but I can see how you wanted to pursue that, but it's interesting that you ended up pursuing music. Like none of these were the practical road.
No, right?
Like, oh, acting's too hard. I think I'll do music.
It's true. It's true. It's definitely not my bend to be the more practical type.
So what made you decide to move back from LA? Like, why didn't you just say, well, if I'm going to do music, I should stay here because there's a big music scene in LA and that?
Well, I didn't know the music scene of LA at all, but I knew everybody in the Bay Area. I'd grown up doing music, doing weddings and gigs all the time. Just from the time I was 14, I was pretty much getting weddings and all kinds of things started opening up. And so I knew like lots of people in the Bay Area, and I felt like it was home, in a sense. Like maybe I should just go back there where I know all these musicians and I could, just kind of, explore that more. But I also met my husband. And so that was a huge reason that I ended up moving back to Northern California, is he was pursuing me. He was living in Northern California because he had originally met me there. And I moved down and he would come and ask me out and go on dates with me. And we just, we're finding that our long distance relationship could only go so far, and in order to really go to the next level, we needed to be close, but he had a full-time job. He was working for Panasonic at the time, in the business world. He's a businessman. Well, now he's a pastor, but he was a businessman.
Wait, I know him as a pastor.
Yeah, that's right. You do, yeah. No, he wasn't a pastor when I met him. He was in the business world. He was a vice president at the time of the marketing division at his company. And so, yeah, his life has changed quite a bit since then. But
definitely. Wow, you guys both pursued interesting passion. So the first time that you came onto my radar, I remember, was on Indie Heaven. You were, I think, having some great success as a Christian contemporary artist. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, how all that started, how you made your first album. And I saw on your bio too that you have some pretty interesting tour experiences.
Yeah. Well, the first tour I went on was with a group called Continental Singers.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, I remember them. So yeah, you audition for them, and and then you get, when you're a part of them, you get to travel. You work every day. You have one day off a week. It's pretty diehard. It's not a relaxing tour at all. It's in my particular group, our director was really strict about not itching your face, not coughing. I mean, so we worked like for 3 months straight. I believe it was about 2 months, something like that. Every day, sometimes 2 to 3 concerts a day. Wow. And I had walking pneumonia while I was there, actually. Wow. So yeah, it was such an interesting tour. I mean, I was like, and then you're singing songs I personally didn't even care for. It wasn't my style. I was just, on this tour, but I'm singing Sandy Patty songs, and I liked, Leslie Phillips at the time, who was the rock artist of the rebel Christian rock artist that, but back in the day, but, so, or, who else did I like? Steve, Taylor. He was kind of funky, fun, but yeah, so this was different. And then, hand motions, like, the big jazz hands and all that.
Oh my goodness. That does not seem like you.
It was not me, but it was funny. It was very funny to think back on that one. So yeah, that was a great experience. I mean, I learned a lot about a lot. I missed the bus once. Oh man, you could not miss your bus.
Oh no.
I missed my 4 a.m. one time, a 4 a.m. bus call. And they left without me. They went off to the next city.
Oh my gosh.
But I was so fortunate because the host family I was staying with host families this whole summer. And this family, the guy had been on tour with the Continentals. So he totally got it. He was like, he drove me 2 hours to the next gig.
Wow.
I was like, you are so awesome. See, I still haven't forgotten that. I was like 17. So, I'll never forget him. And I really won't. So yeah, I never missed a call again though.
Yeah, I'll bet. Brutal. Well,
right.
How did you get into making your own album?
That happened later. That happened after I got married. And I was like 29 when I finally decided to just, try it. And
hey, I think I made mine at 33. So you were ahead of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. We're on the same track here.
Yep.
I like it. I like our track. It's fun. Yeah. So I was 29, I think, when I started. I don't know. It was released when I was 29, I think. But it's, it was interesting. I didn't really know whether the songs were good or not good. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I had never really had feedback on my music,
right.
Good feedback. So that was my first time. And it was just this funky experience. I really, I worked with one producer on 4 songs, another producer on 4 songs. So the whole album sounds very like, it's interesting for sure, but it's eclectic. Not. Yes, it's very eclectic. You've got some progressive rock because like the guy that I worked with on part of it is a total progressive rocker, and then you've got like this other side of it that's more like Sixpence None the Richer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny, but yeah.
And was that done in Nashville, or were you doing it between 2 cities?
That was here in the Bay Area. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
And then
just local guys.
You made a second album, right?
Yeah. The second one was here too.
Okay.
And that was fun. That was a bunch of people that I was on a worship team with. I asked them to like play with me live. So we did live concerts and we did originals, but we would also do cover songs, and we did a lot of worship songs at the time. So we did some covers of like Jesus, Lover of My Soul, and, stuff like that, kind of our own take on those. And then if there's a few originals with a variety of singers. So that was fun.
That's awesome. So at some point you decided to take a break from all this and have kids. And I remember when you came back and you actually joined the Female Musician Academy, you said to me, like, I took this hiatus and I feel like everything has changed while I was gone in the industry. So what do you think was different?
Wow. It is like night and day different today than it was before BK or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, BK.
Before kids, yes.
Yeah, I did have kids I did my second and third album. I remember I was pregnant with my second child. No, I was pregnant with my second child during my third album. So my third album was in Nashville. And so that album was the first time I started to get things right in the sense of like commercially. Like
right.
In the Christian world, commercially. I got things right in the sense of working with a really great producer, figured that one out. And getting the right songs. He challenged me to write 40 songs. We picked 3, so it was really, and then I did a co-write, which was a really good experience. I had never done that either with professionals, that were in the industry there in Nashville. Right. So that was a great experience because I learned a lot from that. But again, the industry was about to transition right then. And
what year was that?
When was that? 2005
or
2005. Yeah, it was 2005 because my daughter, I should remember, I was pregnant. So yeah, it was 2005. And everything just changed, and the album was really strong. That was The Lion, and the 3 songs were really strong. Again, producer is the one that really helped that to happen. And so, yeah, that, like you said, the success that was happening came after that album, those couple of years. And I was staying on the pulse of it until my third child. Mm-hmm. And child number 3, you changed the whole thing. So, how many do you have?
I have 2. Two are
Oh,
plenty.
okay.
For
Two,
me.
yeah. No, two was child number 3 is a blessing in every way, but he was a surprise. He was not
Right.
a planned thing, And so we call him our Aruba surprise because we went on our 10-year anniversary to Aruba, and that's where he was conceived.
That's funny.
We call him an Aruba baby. So he thinks he was born in Aruba when we tell him the story. He's like, I'm from Aruba. I'm like, no, not quite. But anyway, so yeah, so the whole industry it changed. And when I came back, it was like, indie artists are actually, wow, it's okay to be an indie artist now. You're not like this obscure thing that nobody's really going to listen to you, but it's actually, it's better to be an indie artist for so many reasons. So, the labels are dying down, they're only picking 12-year-olds that they can, basically turn into what they want them to be, mindless, kind of thing, hoping that they're mindless. And, the rest of the world is figuring out how to do music. Everybody's getting their own, DAW and all these things. So it's just everything changed. And I'm just so thankful that I kind of got into it again, figuring this out, not trying to do the same old thing. And that might have been a lot of your awesome podcasts I was listening to. I was like absorbing everything that you were sending during that time.
Oh, thank you. Well, you were one of the founding members of the Academy in 2015. And I was curious why you were like seriously one of the first, maybe the second person to join, and I was curious, like, what were you needing at that point?
Yeah, I was just figuring out that I was at this place in my life where it's like a bit of a midlife crisis, where I was like, what am I doing? What have I been doing all these years, and how am I going to spend the rest of my life? Am I going to continue trying to fill holes of all these things that are needed that I'm not really that good at? Because that's pretty much what I was doing. I was doing a lot of graphics design at the time. Actually, I was like for our church, and that was taking a lot of my time. And I was listening to some of your podcasts going, why am I filling my time with this? I could be doing the same kind of stuff, working on things that I'm really passionate about. And I just had to let go. I had to sit down. I really prayed and thought it through and thought, what am I doing really? And is it really the most productive thing to be doing? And even, when I would, with my questions regarding my faith, it's like, well, am I really being the most productive, or am I really meant to do something different? And I'm just kind of chasing everything else and missing it, So I changed my whole perspective, and I just decided I needed to focus my energy, all my free time that I was having, which wasn't a lot, but every little bit of free time I could find, I was going to use that to learn how to be, the musician I wanted to be, to learn how to produce, to learn how to do stuff. I didn't know how to use GarageBand very well. And I wasn't, I think back, I'm like, wow, I really have learned a lot in the last like 2 years since your academy. It's just been like a whole, like being in school all over again.
Yep. It is, isn't it? And I know that you were in the academy, you were learning all kinds of stuff about social media and marketing and all that stuff. And then you happened upon, well, you didn't happen upon, I introduced you to Michelle Lockie, who has a music licensing course, and you decided to join that. And I think you just really got excited about that right away. And I thought it was interesting when I read in your bio that you had acting experience, because now I'm putting it together like, maybe getting the full picture. And, she always kind of wanted to be an actress a little bit, and now she can have kind of her foot in film and television in a different way.
You nailed that. And I didn't even know it about myself. I just kind of thought, oh, that acting thing was fun. And it's helped me to be director, at my church, or different things I was going to do. But I did not realize how, my family, I have a lot of, not just my aunt, but there's other people in my family that are in the film industry. And I think it's in my blood, it feels like home to me, to like, Michelle's class was just a blast. She'd have us writing to pictures, like writing to a scene with the sound down, things like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so what I was made to do, and it's just came to life for me. And I just, music is so much more fun now than it ever was.
That's so cool that you kind of found your niche, and, thank goodness that you took Michelle's course. So what would you say, like, it just so happens that right about now, I'm going to be introducing my audience again to her course because she runs it live, I think once a year. And so I would love to know, like, what you would say about her course. What would you tell people that are thinking about maybe getting into music licensing, and why Michelle is a great way to learn?
Yeah, Michelle is someone who she's definitely, like, she started really from the ground up, and that was only maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So she's giving you fresh information that's very current, on the pulse, and she's giving it to you in it, like, as she's learning it sometimes. So you feel like, wow, she's doing this too. And she's actually successful. So there is hope for me. That's the kind of person Michelle is. She's not like, it's too far. I could never reach that dream. I could never be her. She's more like, she keeps it real, and she's honest about her own struggles too, which I think we need to hear that, because every artist I know just really struggles. We struggle with depression. We struggle with feeling like we're not enough and all these things. And, if she's struggling with it, she tackles that. She talks about it. And she also talks about organization and has a lot of tools, just as you do, actually. Both of you have been really great at just helping us get organized. That's so important for us. I mean, organization is everything. I'm telling my high schooler, I have one that just started high school, which
me too.
Oh my gosh.
So on the same path. We were like the same person.
It's frightening.
It is.
It's literally frightening. I mean, this morning we got a call from the school. Sorry to sidetrack, but we got a call from the school this morning saying there was a threat last night, but the police dealt with it. And so they're going to go to school and classes will resume as normal. And I'm like, what? Really? This is the day and age. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that was my day this morning, just going, wow, do I really want to send him to school? But then if he misses school, he's way far behind because so yeah. So anyway, sorry, that distracted my head, didn't it?
That's funny. No, I'm totally in that space right now with the new high schooler. It's like every day I hear information after school, like a flood of information. And I'm like, what?
Oh my God. You're like, what am I doing?
I know.
But I already tried homeschooling, and I know that just will destroy you. So
yeah, I did that last year, and it was too. Fine, but
how funny. We are in the same track. You did it in 8th grade?
I did.
So did I. I did the same thing. And then I'm like, well, I just put him in a school with 2,500 kids. I'm like, what was I thinking?
I know. It was always the plan, but oh my goodness. Yeah.
No, it was good. I'm glad that, I don't know about you, but I'm very glad that I had him home last year with me, just to have that time with him.
Yeah, I think it worked out really well. And I think she's really well prepared, but yeah, it's a hard thing so I didn't realize you had a homeschooler while you were trying to, do all this writing for film and TV. Like, how did you organize that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I did the best job. He was in a really cool course called Classical Conversations.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah. So he would meet once a week and so he had a lot of accountability that way. So that helped a lot. And he thrived in most of what they did. The only thing he fell behind was math. But
oh my gosh. Me too. I was teaching math. That was the only thing I had to teach.
Oh, wow. Math is hard. That's the only thing that I had to teach, and I don't teach it well. So I'm like, you know what? You're just going to go to this thing called Mathanasium. So he's been there. We've been catching him up, and
I'm good at math, and I'm like, I don't understand what they're saying. Like, I know how to do this problem, but not the way they're telling me to do it.
No, yeah, the core method is different. Yeah. It's like the long way around or something. I don't know.
Totally. Wow. Well, so how, after you learned all this stuff in Michelle's course, what have you been doing with that? As far as I know, you've started a duo, and you're writing a lot of music for film and TV. Like, what kind of pitching are you doing? What kind of, songs are you writing for what kind of shows?
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good question. This morning I was just doing research before I remembered that we had an interview.
You're not supposed to give that away. You knew it. You were showing.
Oh, I knew. I'm so on top of it. I am so organized. I never, ever lose my keys. I never lose my phone. and I don't lie.
Right.
Yeah. I think so like last August, the duo I'm with Jackson, who's a friend who actually knew, he's from the Bay Area too, but he moved up to Vancouver, Washington, but we just say Portland because no one knows that there's a Vancouver in Washington.
That's true.
It's funny. So yeah, right across the bridge from Portland. So anyway, yeah, he's up there now. And so we do everything long distance, and he does everything I don't do, which is so cool. He produces, extremely great producer. And he also plays like, guitar, drums, bass, all that good stuff. And then I play keyboards and sing. So it's a nice, match that way. And then our song style is like indie rock blues kind of is where we're finding.
Yeah, I was so surprised by that actually, because I knew you from your other music. And I was like, wow, this is totally different, but I love it.
It is different. That's what's so cool about teaming up with people, collaborations. It's just amazing what you might come up with. So anyway, yeah, so this has been fun. I didn't know, neither of us knew what direction our music was going to go. We both had the same goal, which was write for sync, licensing. And we wanted that, but neither of us really knew what our sound would be when we started doing it. And then it kind of started to morph and become this. And we're like, you know what? I think this is us. This feels right. When we do this, we both love it. It goes back to our roots, in music. We both have the same interests, like a lot of the same influences. So that was fun, just getting that. But, we work whenever we can. And sometimes we slam out a whole bunch of stuff if we have time. But if not, he's got a very whole nother life up there writing books and doing his thing. So, and then, I've got a whole nother life here. So when we work together, that's kind of the style we write in. And then I'm also collaborating with a whole lot of other people that I've met through first Michelle, and then also this other class I'm a part of, this group, Cathy Heller. She has her ad, writing for ads.
Writing for ads, right.
Right. And she also does film, TV. She's an agent, licensing agent. So with that group of people, and Michelle's in there too, we just collaborate with one another. We find people to work with. And so the music, it kind of takes on a life of its own, depending on who you're working with. So it's been really fun. So pretty much where I tend to write though is like pop, indie pop, and then rock, blues, and then country. I'm exploring it, but there's not much there's not a lot of places to pitch for country music. Unless it's Nashville. I mean, I don't know if there's another show on TV besides Nashville, but there's just not much out there that's country, which is sad, in a way, because country music is brilliant. And the writers, who write country are really, they really have a gift and an ability that, it takes more, to write country for sure.
Yes.
So, yeah, so it's been interesting, doing that and just writing with the different people. But yeah, and so the licensing agents that I've been working with so far are Crucial Music. They've pitched quite a few of our stuff. And another person I met through Cathy. And Michelle, has people that she, has referred us to, or not referred us, but like introduced us to these different, companies. And then we go out and pursue and see who takes it, kind of thing. And that's yes. pretty much what we've been doing. It's like they either accept your music or they don't, and so like with Crucial, they've rejected like 3, songs I've sent them, but they've, accepted now about 8 songs. So, I'm building the catalog with them, and just finding more and more as I stick with it. I'm meeting more people all the time. I'm meeting music supervisors and, getting great responses all around. I haven't had any placement yet, but I've definitely had a lot of people that are now, pitching the music. So
you've got a lot of things in the pipeline and irons in the fire and stuff out there that something's going to pop any minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you'll be hearing about it first, I'm sure, because I'll post it on the site right, with you guys.
Have you explored music libraries much?
Yeah, that when I first got into it, I was just trying to figure it all out, and Michelle was helping with that. So music libraries, I'm focusing more on the boutique libraries now.
Right.
But I do have some stuff with Songtrader. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them. I haven't used them. Like the one that I use, and I don't even know if you call this a library, but like AudioSparks. Like I still get random checks from them every quarter from something I did 7 years ago.
Cool.
It's what's
Okay.
cool about licensing.
Yeah. Is that a large library?
It's kind of like an open library. It's not really a library. It's more like a site where people can go and find stuff and license it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yes. So yeah, I think like I have something called music supervisor or something.
Oh yeah. I know that one.
Yeah. So it's kind of an open one like that too. I just haven't seen I haven't seen anything yet in those.
Right.
Whereas I see like more crucial, tends to be more, they communicate like what they're.
Yeah. It's nice
pitching.
with them that you get some feedback.
Yeah. And same with the other agent. I have stuff with a couple of non-exclusive agents, and then Cathy too. She has one song so far that is in her like library,
right,
of non-exclusive things. So yeah, I'm believing that it's a matter of time and just staying with it, because
yeah, I think Michelle always talks about a 5-year plan, and it's really true. Like you just, as she says, like send it out, forget about it, repeat, like, and then, a year later or even like 6 months later, all of a sudden you'll get money, you'll hear something, and if you do that enough and you've got a million things in the pipeline and money's coming in consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the goal. I mean, it's like, if you love it, why not just stick with it? That's what I've figured out. It's like, I love doing this. I wouldn't not do it anyway. It's just
that's exactly what I say. It's like, someone says that they're thinking of quitting, and I'm like, okay, but what's your life going to be like without this? Like, I understand that you're frustrated, but if you give up music, and I remember when I had my I think it was my first child, and I had been performing a lot before I had her, and then I was like, no, I just can't do this. I need to focus on the baby. I lasted 6 weeks. I was like, I am so bored. I need to like unleash this creative part of myself again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different kind of a brain that we have. And we just, if we're not doing it, there's like the part of us that goes a little insane, I think. So I at least that's my own experience. I've never been able to not do music. I just feel like now I'm doing it with a much more focus, and I'm not spinning my wheels, just doing it or just playing around on stuff and writing songs that I'm never going to show anyone. It's like now when I start to write a song with a co-writer, I know that it's got a purpose. It's going to go somewhere, So
and it's not just you, holding the reins to that song. Like there's somebody else also out there working hard to pitch it. And I think that's what's great about co-writers. Like it's not just you in the driver's seat. You guys can both go in different directions, try as hard as you can to get something to happen with it. And maybe one of you will succeed.
Yeah, that's another thing that I don't think I thought about that before doing all of this, but that's exactly what you said. I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. We're all working the song, with our different connections at this point. And
it really expands your network.
It does. It's neat. I mean, just, I heard yesterday, I think it was Cathy had said something on one of her podcasts. She said, sometimes you need to take that one step, and then before you know it, you've taken 9 more without even thinking about it, just because you took the 1 or the 2 steps. And it's really true with anything. And it's funny because I think didn't you interview Cathy too at one time?
I did.
And you guys are a lot alike too. Like a lot of the things you guys say are so similar. And I think you've said that. I feel like I've heard that from you.
Definitely.
It's so true, and then, just back to the organization. Organization's just huge in this
especially with licensing, because you've got to keep track of your whole catalog and know who's looked at what, and, and if things are exclusive or not. And, there's a lot going on there that you have to keep track of. So organization is big. Yeah,
it is, but it's good. It's really good. And there's so many tools now that we have with, computers that it's just amazing what we're able to do. I just did something in an Excel spreadsheet this morning, just, doing my research, and I'm like, wow, it's pretty cool, because as I'm doing research for TV, for instance, I was making a TV Spotify list, and just connecting dots, going, wow, and I feel like this is amateur to someone who's been doing this for a while. But for me, my eyes were opening. I'm like, wow, look at this show. It's like totally this style of music pretty much all the time. And it's like the characters are singing the songs, like they're writing for the character. You can feel that. You can feel how much it fits with that character, that this is the kind of music these characters would like. And so that's been kind of interesting to connect those dots, even just today, as I was doing some research on TV shows, and then, the themes that they're writing on and things like that. But those things, I'm just putting it all in an Excel spreadsheet, and, and then I'm actually going to share it with one of our private groups. We have like a research group. Mm-hmm. So we all share with each other what we've discovered.
That's
and
cool.
It's really cool because, again, like you said, when we're collaborating with people and we start working together, it's like the resources that we can come up with are huge. I mean, mega huge,
I know. And you don't have this like competitive thing going on. People are sharing information. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
It is. And that's again, like why I created the Academy, because I want a place where people can support each other like that and not feeling like all artists are competition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Or just like where I was stuck in this place right before I decided to change my perspective and get off my butt, I was in a place where my mindset for too long was like, I'll never be that. I just look at them and go, well, I'll never be that. Or they've already got that. They've already got me over there. She's just like me. And I don't need to do that now, because I mean, she's already doing it. So I don't really have a purpose doing that. It's just, I'm just going to sing my songs privately. No one will hear them because I'm just, I have no purpose. That whole mentality is just so, it's just so sad. You're just shooting yourself. And so I'm just, I just don't let myself go there. Ever since I started with you, I was like, I'm not going to let myself go there anymore. And just having your podcasts and anything that's like that, filling my mind instead of the other stuff, the self-defeating lies, that I was prey to.
I think it's so easy for any of us to get into that. I mean, I could easily say, these other people, Rick Barker or Dave Kuzik or any of those people, they're already doing this. Why should I be doing this? Mm-hmm. But I'm reaching people that they won't, because certain people resonate with what I'm saying or the way I'm saying it. And it's the same thing with performers.
It totally is true. I mean, I look at that even with like Michelle and Cathy,
right,
are both doing sort of the same thing, but very different. I mean, total polar opposites in personality, because you've got Michelle, who's like the 5-year plan, and she's more like kind of
realistic.
Yeah. I mean, not that Cathy is realistic, but she's more like the Tony Robbins,
Yes.
She's like Tony Robbins, and she's like that trainer that you need, to work out. She's totally that person. Whereas Michelle's like, you're going to grab you by the hand and like say, come on, we can do this together. Like, she's in it with you. She gets in the dirt with you, is how I feel with her.
That's awesome.
So they're just two different ways. And also Michelle's more, film TV focused, whereas Cathy she knows the ad world, and she has lots of relationships with people in the ad world. So they're so different in that way, but I'm so thankful for both of them. Like, they both have changed my life, and you all have a way of saying something that, it's life-changing, truly, for people like us who need that, it's like, wow, thank God for you. Thank God for every one of you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. After 2.5 years almost of doing this, it's great to like, it's just like my husband being a professor. He's like, when he gets the notes from the students, that is the best day. It's all worth it. Yeah. So I love it. Thank you so much for that. Now, let our listeners know how people can find you and your music now that they know all about who you are. I'm sure they want to listen to what you sound like.
All right. Well, you can go to my website. That is the best place to find my music. If you want to hear the Kim Krenik stuff, which is more like indie pop inspirational stuff, it's www.kimkrenik.com. www.kimkrenik.com. And then last August, we have our own music website as well, and that's lastaugust.com. And then I also have...
There's nobody else called Last August, so you got that one.
Yay, I know. I had to do research on that to make sure. I also have a book that I released, and I'm writing more. I'm in the process of writing some more. I'll just plug that really quick. The first book I released is a devotional, but the ones to come are fiction, and they're going to be an adventure series, and it's for young adults. So I'm really excited about that. I'm kind of in the middle of one right now. And I have my daughter, who is 12, giving me a lot of feedback. It's a choose your own adventure. Yeah.
Gosh. Wow. And then when it's done, you can turn it into a TV series, and you can
write the music for it. Right? Yeah, there you go.
And you can act in it, and you can.
You are so funny. Yeah, I'm never going to be the Kenneth Branagh of the industry. I've watched him, and I love him. He's like one of my favorite actors. But I'm like, that's not me. I don't want to do that. I did that as a pastor's wife for a while, and I kind of learned my lesson when I was in my 30s.
Yep.
Let everyone else do that. I just sit back and direct.
Sounds good to me. Well, thank you so much. This has been so great to just, number one, like I got to know a lot of things about you I didn't know, and I didn't realize we had so many crossing paths kind of in the way our lives have gone. But just getting to know like your journey and the inspiration that you are, I think, as far as the film and TV that you're doing now and how you've really found your niche. So I encourage everybody listening, like, try some different things out, take some different courses, see what resonates with you, because had Kim never taken Michelle's course, she never would have known. So,
that's true. Yeah.
So, be well-rounded, try stuff out, just like we do with our kids, make them take every kind of sport and every kind of, piano lessons and all those things to see what fits and what they're good at. So make sure you do that with yourself in the music industry too. You may come across something that you really get excited about. So thanks so much, Kim, for being with us. And I really appreciate your information for our listeners today.
Thank you, Bree. Thanks so much for having me. Such a privilege.
Now go out and make great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business. Female Entrepreneur Musician has been brought to you by FEM110.com and FemaleMusicianAcademy.com. With editing by Jen Eads of 317 Sound Design and music by Stella Ronson.